Hey, hey, hey. Justice League broadcast here, real quick. We're going to go through Justice League real fast. So, a couple of things I got to do is read a piece of scripture for you guys. And it comes from Galatians, I believe it's Galatians 1 3. It says, Grace and peace to you from God, our Father, and the Lord Jesus Christ. Psalms 41 12 and 13 says, As for me, you uphold me in my integrity. You uphold me in my integrity and set me before your face forever. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel forever, from everlasting to everlasting. Basically, uh, it's a blessing both ways. So somebody's blessing us, God, and we throw back the blessing at him. So I just wanted to do that first. Okay, what we're going to talk about with Justice League is a couple things. I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible. I can't believe it. Where do people come from to see my videos? Okay, anyway. This is what we're going to talk about with Justice League, all right? Because we're talking anything about Justice League right now. So, basically, how things are going on the ground, going very, very, very nicely. I like what's happening on the ground. A lot of us are busy on the ground now doing what we have to do. But I want to say that what I enjoy talking about with this movie is really the substance of the movie. You know, all the other stuff, the peripheral stuff of the movie is well and good to talk about, but I really like talking about the stuff in the movie. Now, we talked about reflections. We talked about some of the Easter eggs. There's a ton of Easter eggs in the movie, but we haven't really talked too much about the sayings in the movie. I've kind of talked about one or two sayings in the movie. What I'll give you guys opportunity to do right now in this podcast, it's going to be very, very short, this little hangout here. Think about some of the sayings that were said in the movie, and if you want to, you can discuss some of them. All right. So I'm going to discuss a particular saying in the movie in the meantime while I'm here. And if you guys want to, you can discuss it as well. One of the sayings in the movie had to do with particularly a conversation that had to do with Diana and Bruce Wayne. And strangely, that led to the conversation between Bruce Wayne and Alfred. And in this movie, Alfred and Bruce Wayne, they have a number of conversations. But particularly, this particular conversation was between Diana and Bruce. And there's a saying that Diana said in there where she talks about leadership. And specifically, she says this. Let me see if I can actually pull it up so you guys can hear it. Let's see, it should be playing. Let me turn this up. Listen to what she says in the movie here about leadership. Let's find it. Oh, all right. Hold on a second. I hadn't pulled it up before. Boom, 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 boom. She's quite competent as a leader, you know. All right, let's see. It's coming up.
With water, just as I want.
And I haven't been doing it for this forever.
I can barely do it now. Steppenwolf. This is the job.
So I don't. And I haven't been doing it. I've been reacting. Not leading. You know what you said about Steve?
It wasn't my business, I'm sorry.
You were pushing me to leave the team. But leaders get people killed.
Okay, that's the part right there I find very interesting. She talks about leaders getting people killed. That saying is a very interesting one. You know, that's a truth that a lot of us don't really think much about, because when you take up a leadership position, the best example is actual war, where actual leaders lead their troops into war, but their troops get killed. So it's true. When you lead people into war, you do get people killed as a result of leading them into battle, right? That's literal. But also, figuratively, when you're leading for some kind of cause, not necessarily against something, but for a cause. There's a lot of casualties that happen for the people that follow you into that cause. And people do get killed. Sometimes their careers get messed up. All kinds of things happen. I think of Zack Snyder, for instance, doing this Justice League movie, right? Hold on to the team, Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL. Hans Zimmer didn't continue. But Junkie XL, he continues with Zack, and he's pouring his heart and soul out on this project. Zack has to leave the project, and Junkie's a casualty of that. He finds himself in a sort of messy morass where they don't want his music, they don't want his tone, because Joss Whedon's come on board, and Joss Whedon wants a particular creative writer to work with him because that's how he best works. I think about these things, and it's one of the things that people don't really explore, people don't really talk much about, which Diana brings into the equation. It's a truth. It's kind of like people hate what they don't understand. It is a truth out here. You know what I'm saying? And leaders do get people killed, whether it's in battle or whether it's in whatever area of life. And I thought this is a truth that we don't really meditate much about. And this movie, it's tricky. It gives you these turns, these twists that you don't see in other movies. And people don't think about these things. And again, Chris Terrio, very good. Whether Joss Whedon rewrote some of this script here, Chris Terrio comes up with these incredible ideas. And that's the brilliance of Chris Terrio's writing, once again. Now, this, like Man of Steel, is a much more straightforward story, to be honest with you. But the point is, and I still think Batman v Superman is the greatest piece of comic book literature ever put down, especially the Ultimate Cut. Not so much the theatrical, but the Ultimate Cut, definitely. But that doesn't change the fact that Justice League is a brilliantly done film in terms of sayings. And there are a number of sayings in there. Another saying that was very interesting. No, let me stay on that. Let me stay on that for a minute. So leaders get people killed. And that's a big problem for Diana, because Diana comes from a background where she believes in the sacred duty of defending the world, protecting the world. She's a protector. That goes against her norms. Even though she's seen Antiope go into battle, and some of the Amazons that go into battle with Antiope, she saw them die. She saw the Amazons die. She saw them die in front of her face. She cannot come to terms with the fact that she, as a leader, will lead people to their deaths. That would be collateral damage for her, especially with the tragedy of Steve Trevor that she always remembers. And several others that Patty Jenkins will tell you about as we watch the story of Diana and why she stayed in the shadows. And remember, staying in the shadows is to protect other people. It's not so much, if you work along with a group of people, for instance, okay, some of them, and you're doing something very risky and dangerous, some of them will actually get ensnared in that, and some of them will not. They're called casualties. Now, the thing about it is, Diana doesn't like that aspect of it. She does not believe in that. She believes in, Diana does not go to war to defeat someone and destroy them. She goes to war to protect. She goes to war to help, assist mankind. So her whole philosophy of life is built around preserving life. She's kind of like Superman, except the difference is she doesn't have a problem taking life if she knows for the greater good, lives are going to be saved. But she's not really into taking lives. That's not something she enjoys doing, you know? So you can see that Diana, at this point, she has a dilemma that she's dealing with, a moral dilemma, like Superman. And she's been fighting with this moral dilemma for a long time. It's her emotions, a feeling of loss, a feeling of failure when people close to her pass away. And she says, she equates them all to Steve Trevor, because she failed to help Steve Trevor with his mission. If you do remember, she did fail to do that. She said, I'm not helping you with that. And when she was trying to catch herself, Steve was saying certain things to her, but she wasn't processing fully because she just came out of a blast. And Steve goes off on his mission. She's trying to help him. She's saying, let me help you. Let me help you. And he's like, nah, I got to do this by myself. And he dies. Okay? She, in a certain way, she says it's not your fault when she's talking to Bruce. She can identify with that because she believes it's not her fault that Steve Trevor died, even though she's still guilty about it. She still feels apprehensive about it. She has that remorse inside of her. And Bruce talked about, you shut yourself down for a century, so let's not talk about me moving on, okay? But she wasn't talking about that. Diana comes back and clarifies to Bruce that she always helped mankind. She was always there for them. But she felt like if she put herself too much in the forefront of mankind, people would die because of her leadership. Because she's leading mankind, she doesn't want unnecessary deaths. But Bruce is confronting her, in other words, challenging her to say, hey, wait a minute, man, you put yourself in front of mankind, you might actually preserve more life. You might actually save a lot of deaths from happening. You know what I mean? And I thought that I just wanted to spend a little time on the fact that she says something that's true. And it's a true statement. And that can only come from Chris Terrio, which is leaders get people killed. It is true. It is true. Whether it's metaphorically killed or otherwise, people get killed. They're casualties when you start to lead. It's just what it is. I know. I'm watching it in front of my face while I'm carrying out this little campaign to preserve this movie. People are dying in the process of it. They're getting assassinated left, right, and center. And I try to come to their aid and protect them. And what do you do? Do you feel guilty about that? What do? You see what I'm saying? So there's always a cost. Unfortunately, it cost Superman his life, and she went to protect. She was leading out fighting Doomsday. Superman still died. You think about that? Y'all don't even think about that. But BVS, you know what I'm saying? And she does not, she can't come to terms sometimes with the fact that there's these losses. And she talks about Steve Trevor to Cyborg. She says, you know, I lost someone and I shut myself down. I couldn't, and I'm still coming to terms with it. And you can see she's confessing this to Cyborg. I don't know if she's aware of it or not. Maybe she knows Cyborg lost his mother, but you can see Cyborg's angst inside of him. And that's why she's so overly protective of the members of the Justice League, protecting Aquaman, Cyborg. She didn't want him to die. She not on that. You know what I'm saying? So I decided to just go into that one simple little frame. That simple little statement has so much significance to us today. A lot of us hide in the shadows today because we're afraid someone will get hurt if we were to step out the shadows and take that risk. And we're even afraid if we get hurt or, you know, what could happen in the process. I'm living that right now because it's difficult to do what I'm doing without all the setbacks and people who don't believe what I believe coming to challenge that. And then the other people who support what I support, they're getting the brunt sometimes of the attacks on them. I know I can talk about my boy Leroy King on YouTube. He's being attacked and assassinated all the time, you know, for his love of Justice League. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? And you look at that and you want to protect them, but how do you protect them? You know what I'm saying? And I'm just saying to people, because a lot of people don't understand, this is real. This stuff is real that's being said in this comic book movie. And like, that's why I appreciate it. I don't go see movies 9 times because I just want to see a movie. It has inherent, intrinsic, virtuous value to it. That's why I watch this movie 9 times, folks. I'm going to watch it a 10th too. I could talk so many things just from this one stupid little movie. And that's Zack Snyder. Look, it's not Joss Whedon on that one. This movie's packed with stuff. But Zack Snyder did this. And I love Joss Whedon to death, and I'm glad he didn't interfere too much with Zack's stuff. I mean, he tried his best as a director to fit in what he could. But the beauty of this movie is not Joss Whedon. I'm glad he's supportive. He was a supportive voice in the whole thing. So we got more of Zack. I love to see more of Zack Snyder's work on this movie. That's why I would love to have another cut of it. I know that ain't happening if we don't get this thing to $1 billion. But the point is, there's a beauty in this movie, man. And it's there. It's there. And that's why I've seen the movie so many times. I can't get enough of it. And I just played a pirated clip of this movie for you guys. I wanted you guys to hear it because I want you guys to understand. This thing is it's a nice little important movie about life, our lives. It's not just, to me, it's not just a movie. It's not just entertainment. That's why I like Zack Snyder's movies. He's not just there to entertain you, man. You know what I'm saying? All right. So that dialogue, I just wanted to break that down. There's other points in the movie and there's other dialogue I wanted to talk about, but I think I'll leave it right there. Let's go to you guys and what your comments are in the discussion section, what you guys got to say about that. And anything else you want to talk about in the movie, because there's so many different little statements and comments. They're short, they're precise, they're to the point, but they're powerful. You know, Batman again talking to Flash, we talked about that already. Batman talking to Alfred. Batman talking to Alfred twice, actually. There are two deep moments there. The first one was where Alfred said, I don't recognize this world. And then Batman says, you don't have to recognize it. We just have to save it. And then the other one, we was talking about to Alfred, and he said, you know, his strength was, and Alfred stops and says, not how strong you are. It's not how much muscles. And then he says, he was more human than I am. That was powerful again. And those, of course, we talked about that already. But there's some others in there that are really good. We also talk about the strongest man is strong alone, right? But there's some coming down to the end of the movie that are great. Like Superman says, I believe in truth, but I'm a big fan of justice. We talked about that already as well. And there's a couple others I want to talk about. There was one that came up in my mind, and then there's some visual themes that I also saw. Anyway, let me just see what you guys got to say, and let me get out of here, because I don't got much time on my hands here. I gotta move. Okay, R2 Limited. So what are we talking about this time? Well, we're talking about just sayings that are in Justice League. Okay, you're explaining, I'll listen. R2 Limited. Leading by example doesn't happen that much anymore. That is true. That is true, my brother. You are absolutely correct. Leading by example, but you do understand also leading and accepting responsibility of leadership. Excuse me for a minute. I think one of my family members, they see I have all these challenges when I want to do these videos because I got so much other things going on. Hold on for 1 second, guys. I will be right back. All right, sorry about that, guys. I have a family and I have to make sure that, you know, it's not just you can just live on your own. You understand what I'm saying? So, all right, guys. So I was talking to you guys about sayings, right? And I was in the middle of that, and then that happened. So let me see what you're saying. Yeah, lead by example. Yeah, people don't generally take responsibility for what they're doing anymore. You know what I'm saying? They defer this. The leadership we have sometimes lets us down. But just remember, your power is not just in the people who represent you and are leaders of you. You can take initiative of your own. I always tell people, I'm a small businessman right now. Okay, I sell drinks mostly on the side of the road, juice, water. That's what I basically sell right now. I do music lessons on the side, so I'm a music teacher on the side. I'm really in the scientific field. I'm really supposed to be a medical doctor by now, but I had to leave the medical profession, medical research I was doing a couple of years back, actually. So it's a good period of time back now, 2008, and now it's 2017. So that's almost 9 years ago. But I intend to go back into it anyway. But the point is, anyway, that you have to lead by example. You have to take responsibility for your life. And a lot of us hide in the shadows. I hide in the shadows, you know, guys. I'm not really a guy that, you know, I'm a really quiet guy outside of the internet. I'm very vocal on the internet, but I'm not really that way in real life. I'm a quiet dude. You would see me, you wouldn't think I'd do something like this. And that's because, you see, you have to understand something. I guess people have different sides of their lives too, but I'm a very vocal person. Like, if you get to know me, I'm very opinionated. I have a lot of views and things. I like to look at concepts that people haven't looked at, which is why my videos is interesting to some of you. But to be honest with you, you have to accept responsibility for your actions. You know, I'm a Christian, right? And why I admire Zack Snyder also is because of the Christocentric themes that come in his movies. Even though there was a little Wicca at the end of, I thought, at least, this is my opinion, of Justice League with the flowers coming up, real creepy looking and stuff, but colorful. But nonetheless, my point is this, that at the end of the day, these movies are not just movies for me that just are for entertainment. I don't just go into the cinema for entertainment. In fact, I don't go into the cinema. I'm not a cinema goer like I used to be. When I was younger, I used to go into the cinema all the time with my brother, the newest movie, and we just go and watch flicks. I don't know. Life got a hold of me. Things got more serious. I don't go into the cinema to watch movies as much as I used to do once upon a time. In fact, I very rarely go to watch movies in a year. The only two movies I really actually went and saw in the cinema was Wonder Woman and Justice League. Justice League was my most anticipated movie for 2017. Okay? I started hearing all kinds of things about Justice League. It did not faze me. I knew I was going to go in and see Justice League anyway. I know I'm going to go see Star Wars The Last Jedi. It doesn't matter what people say. I'm going to go see it. I still want to go see Ferdinand. It looks interesting to me. There's a couple other movies I see. I don't want to go see big blockbuster movies. I look for movies that have inherent value in them. So that's why when I start talking about Justice League, and I'm really just going nuts talking about Justice League and even defending the movie and even seeking to create a movement so that we can get this movie not only to $1 billion, but also revolutionize the way how we think, because I think that the values in this and the stuff in this movie are very important, and these are the things being challenged in the world today. Because of that, I can't help it, man. I love Justice League. Okay, let's just put it that way. So yeah, man, I agree with you that so many leaders now, they're not leading by example. They're talking a bunch of lies, or they're making promises and they don't follow through with it. And then we have world leaders who are just about warmongers and stuff. So the example we get is a horrible one for kids and everything. And so it's great. This is the atmosphere to have Justice League in, because it literally is important, even though it's a superhero film, to show that you can be positive, you can be hopeful, you can be constructive. Think about most of these Justice League members. Wonder Woman, she's not going to war to kill a big baddie. She is going to war to defend the earth, to give people hope. Superman's the same way. All right, it's not about the big baddie. Okay, Batman. Well, okay, Batman. He always battling something. Okay, his version of hope is to take out the bad guy. So it is what it is. He sees threats and he tries to eliminate. Cyborg. Look at Cyborg. Throughout the movie, Cyborg's not about destruction, even though he does use the missiles to try and take out Steppenwolf. But he's not really about destruction. What he's about is about trying to use his skills and abilities to tap into things, to find out about things, to stop things from becoming something else. You know, that's Cyborg. And I love Cyborg. That's my favorite comic book character, and he was my favorite character in this movie. Loved him a lot. Fantastic depiction of him. And even his Booyah, which was usually a comical way, and Cyborg was a comical character. I'm so happy that they used it in a serious manner. And even his Booyah has a different meaning to the Booyah that you're used to hearing Cyborg saying, which I think is just so awesome. You know, boo, yeah, as in, I scared you. Yep. You know what I mean? And he did talk about, the actor did talk about it, and he had to talk about Booyah. I just thought that the movie was all in all just one of those movies you could take seriously, and you could actually apply it to your personal life. And I like that kind of stuff. Okay, I'll be honest with you. Vegathorn says, glad Chris Terrio gets to bring his talent to Star Wars in the form of Episode 9. Vegathorn. Vegathorn says, I'm back. I missed so many chats. Happy to discuss. Yeah, man. Well, you know, we're trying to, some of the chats that I had were just about rumors and stuff. This is basically about the movie again, staying back grounded in it. Shout out to you, Vegathorn. All members of the league have faults, but coming together makes them better people and a better team. Exactly. And the other thing I like about this DCEU is you can have heroes who have shortcomings. They're not all omnipresent, omniscient. You know, everything's sunny and gay. Like, you know, if you watch the CW, they're very superficial with their superheroes. I like that they have everyday lives and stuff, but it feels like a sitcom, okay? When you go to these movies, they give you people a Flash, man. Flash got real serious problems. He still can't overcome the issue that his father didn't kill his mother, and he's trying to free his father of that guilt and trauma. On top of that, he's working all these jobs just to try and finance a way to get through school. You know what I'm saying? You look at Cyborg, horrible, horrible, horrible way to go. You got in an accident, your mother's dead, you come back and you don't know what you are, and you're not in control of yourself. That's crazy, man. You're like a freak, you know what I mean? And your father did that to you. It's messed up. Very dark background. When you look at Aquaman, he's a Nowarian. He's an orphan. He ain't got, I mean, he had his dad, but other than that, his dad's dead now. So he's just alone in the world because Atlantis wants him to do certain things. He ain't on that. He doesn't want just his life controlled. And then on the land, he doesn't like how mankind cares about themselves. So he's basically on the fringe helping out those who need his help. I mean, that's Aquaman. That's his story. I mean, when you think about it, you don't fault Aquaman for not wanting to join the league with Batman, who he's like, he can't get past the fact that Batman dresses up like a bat, which nobody ever said in comic book, in live action ever. Like, dude, making fun of Batman. When he sees Batman, he's like, he chuckles. He laughs at him. He's like, just like a bat. I dig it. He laughs at the dude. Never happened before. Nobody laughs at Batman. Batman's a scary dude. You know what I'm saying? And Aquaman just straight up jacks him up. He's like, he just laughs at him. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing I wanted to talk about with sayings. You have a lot of repeated sayings throughout this movie, and you get the feeling of it. You know, the first time he's like, you dress up like a bat, like a real bat. And then Bruce Wayne says, worked for me for 20 years in Gotham. And he said, oh, that shithole. Because he knows about Gotham. The mess they put out in the sea. You see what I'm saying? It's really, I mean, you got to like, even though it's kind of funny, you got to like the should I say, the dynamic of the thing. Aquaman doesn't see Batman like how we see him, because he's not intimidated by Batman. You understand what I'm saying? And Bruce, he out of necessity, this is not in Bruce's DNA to go looking for help for different people. Batman don't look for help. Batman needs no help. He can do it on his own. Batman's not that. So Zack Snyder took that, and he said in Collider videos, when at the end of BVS, he said it was important that Batman put the team together. You know why? Because it's not in Batman's inherent tendency to go looking for anyone to form any team. That's what's so brilliant about this freaking movie, man. So when Aquaman is saying the strongest man is strong alone, or the strong man is strongest alone, you know, ever heard that? Batman's like, that's not a saying. That's the opposite of what the saying is. He's exasperated because Batman believes in that. Now, out of necessity, Batman has to go against his own self and what he actually believes. And he's like, and you can't convince Aquaman because he's really fake. You know what I'm saying? It's so like, man. Oh, man, this movie, man. So, yeah. Let's see here. Vegathorn says, dude, you're like a real life Silas Stone. Well, no, I wasn't into the technical, like I wasn't into the bio, what do you call that thing? It's not biomechanics. It's called I wasn't into the robotics end of science. I was more into the biological science. You know, I still look at also natural things to help with disease and healthcare and stuff like that. Yeah, because I'm basically a guy in healthcare. That's what I do. I did my research in healthcare. I did my degrees in chemistry, biochemistry, that kind of stuff. Yeah. R2 Limited. I like it also better on the Flash that he doesn't know who killed his mother, but still believes his father is innocent rather than knowing it was Professor Zoom who caused it. Right, right. Well, you see, that's the nice thing about it, R2 Limited. This could lead to all kinds of things. Like this Justice League movie could lead to Flashpoint, and Flashpoint could lead him to know about Professor Zoom, who changes timelines and stuff. So, you know, it could really work out that if Flashpoint is the next movie like they're saying they want to go, this could really feed into that really nicely. Real nice. Real nice. And there are hints of Flashpoint in this movie. You know, it was so cool about it. You know, certain sayings that Aquaman says, certain things that Wonder Woman does, hint to Flashpoint. So, I mean, I would love to see Flashpoint, to be honest with you, but we'll see. Vegathorn, how do you feel about Batman being recast? Who said Batman's being recast? I mean, those are rumors, buddy. Like, I don't know. I never heard no concrete nothing until they make an official statement or something. I don't really buy into that stuff. And I don't talk about those stuff too much because, like I said, all right, Vegathorn and R2 Limited, what we were talking about is the sayings inside of Justice League. So I talked about the saying with Wonder Woman where she talks about leaders get people killed, which is true. That's a true saying. There are a couple other sayings, but there are some repeatable ones. Like, okay, if you did listen to The Flash, for instance, he says, okay, when Wonder Woman identifies the bat-looking thing as a parademon, she says parademons. They're looking for the scent of the mother box. They must know it smelled nearby. There must be a nest nearby. And then you hear Flash say, okay. And then you hear him say okay again later on when they're bringing Superman's body to the Kryptonian ship. And he gets his pass. His pass is accepted because Cyborg interferes with the interfaces with the technology there to bring up his face. And you hear Flash say, okay, okay. And it's kind of cool. Kind of like Baby Grout. Baby Grout says, I am Groot. But the inflection changes the meaning of the word. Was similar. The same phrase, okay, right? Okay. And it's used 3 times. The first time was okay. And that's because Flash is now realizing, shit, this is what I'm involved in. Okay, I'm trying to process that. The second time was when he says, okay, as in, oh, okay, that worked out well. And then he says, okay, right. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at Aquaman, Aquaman's like, so you actually dress like a bat. And then the next time he says, dress like a bat. You dress like a bat. You're out of your mind, Bruce Wayne. And then he says it again. This time he laughs when he says, dress like a bat. I dig it. You know, I like that you have what is called a repeated motif. It's almost like you're doing a composition of music or a poem. And there's this motif repeating itself over and over, but giving different shades of meaning. That's what I like about scripture, too. Scripture is a thing. You can read the same verse or the same piece of scripture, but in a different place, it has a different context. You know what I'm saying? And as, again, Chris Terrio was doing that in BVS. And He was even taking things from Man of Steel and bringing it into BVS. The motifs keep on running their way through a movie, and I like that they did it multiple times in this movie. We had in the beginning of the movie Batman saying, when the guy says, "What do you want from me?" He says, "Beer." And then at the end of the movie, you hear Aquaman say, "You smell that?" And Batman says, "Fear." You know what I'm saying? These repeated motifs. I love that. You know, we talk about the reflections in the movie, and now we see the motifs also being repeated over and over in the movie. I also noticed that Zack Snyder made it a point of showing Islamic people in that movie. As you go through the movie, pay attention to when the burial scene, the military funeral, you will see an Islamic guy there. When you go to the scene with, of course, the Islamic woman selling fruits and stuff. And there's another scene in the movie where I saw an Islamic person there. So I mean, there are repeated motifs throughout this movie, which I believe a lot of people are not paying attention to. I love that he also took the Russian families, that he actually made them subject and made them human. Because a lot of times we think of, you know, for those people who talk about Russian interference right now, there's a hot topic about Russia and as if Russia's the enemy and that all Russians are enemies. No, man. You know, I love the humanism of Zack Snyder. That he's really about human feelings and emotions, and he's weaving in. He's saying we're humans first. We feel the same way. We have emotions the same way. We have aspirations the same way. You know, I love that. I heard it was happening after Flashpoint. That's what I heard from Jeff Johns. Yeah, Vegathon. I don't really care about that stuff. That's rumors, man. Like I told you before, Vegathon. I'm here to discuss the movie right now. Not so much about those other things. I know I said talk about any subject, but you know, those things are rumors, man. Did Jeff Johns say? So you're saying Jeff Johns said that he was going to be recast after? Where does you have to show me an actual okay, in the chat section if you want to paste in the actual statement that Jeff Johns made about Ben Affleck not being Batman. I mean, let's be real. In the movie, he even says when she says, "You know, you can't continue doing this," he says, "I find it hard to do it even now," right? So maybe he will be recast, but the point is, I don't have any verifiable information. I don't have any facts. Like Jeff Johns said, "Oh, Ben Affleck would probably not be doing anything after Flashpoint." Nobody says that. That's rumors. I don't feast in rumors. I try to get verifiable information. And if it is a rumor, I'll say, "This is a rumor." You know what I mean? But back to what I was saying about sayings in the movie. So we talked about Wonder Woman talking about leaders getting people killed. There's another saying in the movie, but I'll leave it for you guys. Liminen and Vegathorn, man. Tell me, man, what are some of the sayings in the movie that you thought were good and important? There's a bunch of them, but I want to hear you first. All right. There's some pivotal sayings in this movie, man. So, okay, another saying in the movie I really like, let me see if I can pull it up for you guys to hear, is this one.
And she thought it meant me. Well, I did.
It's something.
The provider. He's
Right here.
Come down to the lakeview.
Shuffling around like an old ghost. Mom, I have been able to talk to someone and you had enough to deal with. Don't need to add mother-in-law on the list. Not that I.
Hey, Mike. Who was your source? The activist. University.
Right. It's my source.
I got tapped for the kidnapping stuff.
Not a shame. Sounds like you should be working that story.
Right here.
I'm not ready yet. I'm perfectly happy doing fluff pieces back in Remain for a while.
That's a shout out to Fluff Piece Editorials and BBS.
Well, I can hardly read the news anyway.
And in the background, there was something about Fluff Pieces with kitten grooming as well. Okay, here it is.
But I suppose a mother does. But not like it's any less that needs reporting. And Clark promised me he was going to bring home another Pulitzer. And did he? Oh, yes, he did. He said that you were the thirstiest young woman he ever met.
How's that? That's crap.
Hungry. He said you could smell a story further away than he could.
Both stories just made sense. It was more than just a puzzle. It was about the truth. It was about seeing the engine of the world.
I love that. I love that saying right there. She was talking about, you know, her passion for journalism. And I love that she said it was about seeing the engine of the world as it ran. And I thought that's a beautiful saying, because you do understand the engine of the world is the hope of the world, meaning we always look forward to, and we have expectations for the future, and that's hopefulness. And that's what really keeps us all going. And it's interesting, she's talking about the engine of the world, meaning Superman, when it actually ran. So I thought that was pretty cool. R2 Limited says, this isn't big or important, but I like Aquaman's I'm young, there's shit I want to do. Okay. Yeah, because he was saying, first of all, you know, well, we're probably going to die. And that's not a problem for me. I mean, it's an honorable end. Right? So, and then he said, you know, I don't want to die. I'm young. There's shit I want to do. Which is funny. But yeah, I want to talk about the engine of the world while it ran, because I kind of elaborated, just kind of glossed over it when we were talking about the world engine and the change engines, which were the mother boxes. But it was interesting that when Lois Lane talks about the engine of the world, she's actually talking about the symbol that Superman represents, which she's very passionate about, and that's what kind of drew her to him. And I don't know if you guys remember from Man of Steel, when she met him in the cemetery where he was visiting his father's grave, talked to him about, let me tell you a story and so on. And he said, well, I'll just move somewhere else. And she was like, but you can't stop helping people. So I suspect they're going to know where you live and everything. So it was really cool that she realized almost instantaneously this guy was different, that he was helping people, and he was this beacon to the world. And she wanted to protect that. And she was very protective of it in BVS. And it cost him his life anyway. But I mean, you could see that this is the thing that she misses. And this is why she talks about the engine of the world while it ran, meaning that it's dead now. And I don't think it's running right now. It's just interesting when she talks about that. So again, Chris Terrio probably had a lot to do with that, even though some people say that this is rewrites from Joss Whedon. I doubt he actually touched that too much, but I know maybe he snuck in the joke with the thirstiest woman there. Maybe not. But the point is, regardless, I thought that saying's pretty deep. The engine of the world. If you think about it, all of the engines that we have been looking at from BVS to now, they've all been world changers. They've all been terraformers. The world engine that came from Krypton, it terraformed the Earth. It was terraforming the Earth into Krypton. The change engines or mother boxes in Justice League, they were, again, terraformers, and they were supposed to terraform the Earth into a hellish place, which would have been like Apocalypse. Superman's the only engine of the world referred to that was actually changing the world into something hopeful, to elevate mankind. And so interesting that I thought her point was so powerful. That's the engine that actually made the difference, the little engine that could. And I'm thinking to myself, we all are change engines in this world. But a change engine by itself, like Diana says, which is another very interesting statement that was made in this movie, which I just want to highlight here. Let me just pull it up. But I removed the video. She was talking about technology, how it has no heart, no soul, and it can be used for good or for evil. And I thought that debate that she was having is the same thing like the change engines, which was about the change engines anyway. And the change engine in this case, as Cyborg described it, was it's a cycle of life and death very fast. But the important thing is the change engine was a tool that was used to bring back Superman. Whereas the same change engine was used as a tool by Steppenwolf to terraform the Earth and turn it into a hellish place. That change engine was what caused Cyborg in BVS to be Cyborg, okay? Which Victor Stone, he saw as a curse to him, but it turned out to be a blessing. You know, it's just one of those things where there's so much metaphor inside of there. But the important thing is you are changing, and you can be used for good or for evil. It's up to you what you decide you want to use yourself as. Beautiful, Vega Thorne. I mean, we did cover this before, but save one person. What Batman says to Flash. He says, don't fight, don't talk, get in, get out, save one person. I thought that was a powerful statement as well. We did cover it before, but yes, that was another saying that I thought was very powerful in this movie. Arthur Levinman. This isn't big or important, but I like Aquaman's I'm young, there's shit I want to do. Yes, I think I covered that already, Arthur Levinman. So there are a bunch of other sayings in this movie that we have not explored. One of them was the terrorist and what he said in the movie. And I thought part of this is very interesting because part of it is actually what people actually think today. And so let me just pull that up. That's the last one I'm going to do for now. There's a number of others, but I just want to go through them kind of thoroughly here. And I gotta go on my way, man. I got other things to do today. But I just wanted to go into the movie because I see you two guys, you know, there's some other people viewing this video as we speak, but you two guys are basically the people talking about it. So let me get to it.
Let's go.
Who are you? The last of Hestia compels you to reveal the truth. Who are you?
We're a small group of reactionary terrorists. We know that sin has brought on this plague.
All right. First of all, you hear the guy say, we know that sin brought on this plague of aliens. So usually when you have fascism or you have extremism, people talk about sins and the world being cleansed, which leads me to Steppenwolf's statement, which is very much like the terrorist statement. But first, you have to understand terrorism is political terrorism, especially is making a statement and talking about the world being cleansed. Okay. And let me get to the actual terrorist guy and what he said.
This is man's best hope.
Who are you?
We're a small group of
Let me
reactionary
get to it.
terrorists. We know that this is man's best hope.
This is it here.
Down to the modern world. Back to the Dark Ages and the safety of Holy Fear.
I thought that was beautiful. I know that's Chris Terrio's lines, but he talks about this is man's best hope. Down with the modern age, back to the Dark Ages and Holy Fear. It's interesting that destruction is the key to terrorism. Terrorism is about making a statement. It's about making a destructive statement. And usually people always associate this with cleansing for some reason. So you hear the small group of reactionary terrorists say, well, we believe that the sins of the world brought on this plague of aliens. And then this other guy, he comes up and says, this is our only hope, down with the modern age, back to the Dark Ages and Holy Fear. It's crazy, but that's just the way how these people think. And I thought this statement was powerful because listen to Steppenwolf say the same thing. See if I can find him here.
The others can see the one. Where are we, Alfred?
Hold on a second.
Unity.
This is it.
I know that you will feed.
Listen to Steppenwolf.
My exile will come to an end. I will take my place. I'm the last warrior. It's power that cleanses this world. For the unity of dark side.
And Steppenwolf says basically the same thing the terrorists be saying. He says, find the last mother box or change engine. Its power will cleanse this world for the unity for Darkseid. He talks about, you know, yes, I know, mother, you will feed and stuff like that. But again, cleansing, always this cleansing, you know, this cleansing of the world, setting things right and justice. But the version of justice these guys have is a destructive one. It's about annihilating everything. Even when you listen to, it goes all the way back to, what's his name? Crap, General Zod. That's one of the guy's name. I just can't remember the dude's name. And he's talking about building a new Krypton, and a world must be built on some foundation. It's about wiping out the Earth to build Krypton. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what the hell? You know what I mean? It's like, what's wrong with you people? Go another place. You know, you get the Kryptonian ship, get it out of there, you know, and go populate an empty world and terraform it. Make it Krypton. No. Just wipe out mankind, terraform the Earth, and make it Krypton. I'm like, what the hell, man? I don't get these dudes. You know what I'm saying? And it's just one of those things where, man, you have to wonder, man. You just have to wonder. Yeah. So you get that same sort of mindset there. You know what I'm saying? R2 Lemon says, terrorists, I don't believe it. What are you? And Wonder Woman says, a believer. Yeah, that's a good one. Yes, that's powerful, actually. That's a very, very powerful statement. And again, few words, minimalistic. I love that the terrorist here says the very same thing that General Ludendorff says to Wonder Woman. He says, what are you? And she answers a little bit different. She says, you will soon find out, right? But in this case, when the terrorist is talking to her, he says, what are you? She says, a believer. And then she kills him. Freaking kills him, man. And the part that was left out of the movies with that big explosion that you saw in the trailers, shit, man, she really fried his ass. But it's interesting also that in BVS, also, Bruce Wayne says, who are you? In fact, I think he says, who are you? When he was asking her, but I don't think she ever answered him. He said, this picture is not of you, it's you. You know what I'm saying? And then he says, who are you? So you've seen this motif of who are you 3 times now. And again, the repetition of sayings in these movies is just so cool. You know, Vega Thorne. I like when Batman says room for more. Yes. When he looks at the table in Wayne Manor. Yes. In fact, the whole spiel of Lois Lane at the end of the movie is just incredible. It's just incredible dialogue, the monologue that she gives as she's typing out her article for the Daily Planet. And we'll go into that some other time, because that would take a lot of time to just go into. She talks about darkness is not the absence of light, but it is the belief that the light will never return. That's a powerful statement. We will go into that some other time. Vega Thorne, yeah. R2 Lemonin, they couldn't terraform dead worlds. Why not? Of course they could. You remember, terraforming is simply changing the atmosphere and topography. The flashbacks in Man of Steel show Zod and his people see the failed results of trying to do that. No, that's not what happened. What happened was they went on planets, but because Krypton was destroyed, their resources and everything failed, and their machines, and they died. So that's why when he went to New Worlds, he said, when we go to New Worlds, we only saw death and stuff like that. Remember, what General Zod wanted was the Codex, and he wanted the Genesis Chamber so he could have more Kryptonians to populate a world. It wasn't about just meeting a living world or anything like that. The outpost, and they couldn't flourish without Krypton. You know what I'm saying? That's what really happened there. So he was trying to build a new Krypton. That's what's happening. So they could have gone to another planet or another place and terraformed it. They could have done that. Of course, they needed to have a proper sun. But, I mean, other than that, they could have done it. But yeah, all of these sayings, there's a ton more sayings. And there's a ton more Easter eggs. I'm touching the surface. All those Easter eggs I showed you guys, there's much more Easter eggs than that. I'm telling you guys right now. This movie is sick, man. There's a lot. There's a lot going on in this movie. And I only give that tribute to Chris Terrio and Zack Snyder. And I'm glad that Joss Whedon didn't interfere too much with that. And that's what makes these movies so rich. I mean, it's gonna take me months to uncipher a lot of the stuff in this movie. And I'm still doing Easter eggs, not talk much about it in social media. I mean, it's exhausting, man. You know, I could name off 3 Easter eggs right now that nobody even picked up in the movie. You know what I'm saying? And I even mentioned a couple of Easter eggs in terms of dialogue already. So it's a continuity. It's a woven thread throughout. And that's why I don't understand when people talk about this is not Zack Snyder's movie and his vision was incomplete. And his vision wasn't incomplete. The movie was kind of incomplete in terms of CGI. I get that. Trust me, I get it. But in terms of Zack Snyder's vision being incomplete, what do you mean to say his project wasn't completely his project? Meaning Joss Whedon kind of touched up on things. It was a collaboration. What do you expect? It's a different director, different directorial style. What do you expect? It's going to be different a little bit, you know? But it is what it is. So anyway, guys, I think I need to go with that. I've been talking to you guys for a significant portion of time because it's 1:53 p.m. I got to go eat lunch, and I got to get out of here. You guys have a great one. Deuces. Don't forget, keep on pushing. This movie is not by any means finished with its run. Don't let anybody fool you. You have to keep on pressing onwards. I do a lot of background work, so don't worry. R2 Lemon and Vega Thorn. You guys are in Justice League Unite on Facebook. Let me give you the link here in the chat section before I leave. I suggest you do. Hold on a second. Wow, we got people pouring in by the second now. A lot of people coming into this group. It's kind of cool. Somebody approved them in there. Okay, cool. So we put the link right here. If you're not in this group, get in there. This is a good group to be in. Got all the up-to-date stuff and all that. So there you go. That's the group right there. Okay, we got 10 new members. Wow, we're close to 300 members already. That's pretty dope. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a great one. I got to get out of here. I got to start working, man. The day is going like a bullet. So on that note, you guys got anything else you want to share with me? Cool. But until then, you guys have a great one. All right. Peace.